good? Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, and welcome. Madam Clerk, would you do the roll call for this evening?
Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite,
Melly Garthwaite, Council at Large, present.
Councilman Brian Locks,
Brian Locks, Council at Large, present.
Councilwoman Ann Heffernan,
Councilwoman Ann Heffernan, 1st District, present.
Councilwoman Michelle Coletti,
Councilwoman Michelle Coletti, 2nd District, present.
Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali,
Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali, 3rd District, present.
Councilman Gary Donovan,
Councilman Gary Donovan, 4th District, present.
Councilman Edward McMillan,
Councilman Edward McMillan, 5th District, is present.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan is absent, Councilwoman Catherine Tucker,
Councilwoman Catherine Tucker, 7th District, present.
Councilman Christopher Vargo,
Councilman Christopher Vargo, 8th District, present.
Councilwoman Katie Muller,
Councilwoman Katie Muller, 9th District, present.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone,
Councilman Stephen Johnstone, 10th District, present.
and Chairman Nicholas Pascal.
Chairman Nicholas Pascal present.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. We do have a quorum. We will now enter into public session. The time is now 7:01. Would anyone like to speak before the City Council? For the second time, would anyone like to speak before the City Council? I just wanted to make sure, Mr. Were you speaking tonight? And for the third and final time, would anyone like to speak before the City Council? Seeing as there is none, public session is now closed at 7:02. Oh, no, yeah, I made sure. Okay, we will now convene the November 12th, 24 regularly scheduled council meeting at 7:03. I am looking for a motion to approve the Journal of October 28th, 24. Do I have said motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Boy, hold on 1 second here. This for. Four abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, just a little bit of housekeeping. We are going to withdraw Communication C from tonight's agenda, which will just be a discussion under the finance updates. So for those of you playing at home, take Communication C off of your agendas. Okay. And with that being said, will the council clerk please hand out the communications for this evening?
We have Communication A from the tax collector regarding overpayment refunds for November 2024, which will be filed with tonight's minutes. We have Communication B from Councilman Christopher Vargo Jr. and Councilman Gary Donovan regarding amendments to the City Council Rules, Section 4.11, Order of Business, and Section 5.1, Sale of City-Owned Property, being assigned to Council as a whole, Chairman Pascal. And that concludes our communications for this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. All right, moving on to, we will now recess into committee meetings at 7:04. Before us in council as a whole, we have Communication B, which is from Councilman Christopher Vargo and Councilman Gary Donovan regarding amendments to City Council Rules, Section 4.11, Order of Business, and Section 5.1, Sale of City-Owned Property. For the 4.11 section, that was just a portion on our agenda that we do not use anymore. That was adoption of ordinances previously presented. We do that in committee, so we're taking that off. And then there is the section 5.1. Mr. Vargo, would you like to speak to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Going back through many years of city council minutes, we were noticing that the sale of city-owned property is typically a recommendation from and a department in the executive branch, and then what the council's role is to hold a public hearing and then evaluate whether or not the sale or the transfer of the property is in the best interest of the city, and then we ultimately have the final vote on it. The city council rules, going back many years that I checked, actually had the bid process and other components of the sale of property coming before the city council, and that has not been a matter of tradition or practice for many years. So after the last couple of rounds of our agenda and selling property, Councilman Donovan and I spoke with Corporation Council and decided that our rules need to be changed to reflect what the actual practice is. And I believe that that's what we have done. I did a red line version of what the practice is. Corporation Council has reviewed it and signed off on it. And basically, after either a bid request or someone from the public comes and makes an offer to purchase a piece of property, Corporation Council and other departments in City Hall is going to evaluate the offer and then give a communication to the City Council of whether or not the offer is in the best interest of the city, or they'll solicit bids in accordance with our procurement practices, or they'll make a recommendation or otherwise to the City Council of what's in the best interest and whether or not the proposed purchase or transfer is the highest and best use, highest and best dollar. And then it'll follow the same procedure that we always does. It goes to the committee that the chairman selects. It goes to a public hearing. Ultimately, if it's approved by the committee, it goes to the council. The council then approves it. Nothing stops us from saying this bid makes sense, but maybe we should get additional bids, and we could always refer that out. So nothing prevents that. So I think it just tailors to what the actual practice is.
Thank you very much. Were there any questions on that?
I just want to reiterate too is that we are now following basically what procurement rules and the way they do it. We're falling in line with that to make it much smoother process and easier process.
The way I looked at it was antiquated language that we were using that just didn't fall in line with the processes that we're supposed to be using. So I'm glad we noticed that. We actually noticed it at a agenda meeting and moved forward on it as soon as we could. Any other questions or comments? Councilman Lux.
Just in 4.11 in the red line, just council liaison reports, it should say 6th.
Instead of 60.
Instead of 60, sorry.
Correct.
Just letting you know, just a minor edit.
Okay, I'm going to annotate that change. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I have a motion to approve a matter regarding the change to City Council rules, Section 4.11, Order of Business, and Section 5.1, Sale of City-Owned Property. Do I have that motion?
Motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion further? Seeing none, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'll transmit a clean version with that change to you and to Stacy.
Okay, and then we will let the office know that we would need that online as soon as possible. That closes council as a whole at 7:08. Let's move on to the Finance Committee. Councilwoman Akbarali.
Thank you, Chairman. The time is now 7:08, and your Committee on Finance is now in session. Members present are Councilman Vargo, Councilman Locks, Councilwoman Tucker, Councilman Johnstone, and myself, Councilwoman Akbarali, as chair. First order of business is our MARB meeting update, which I believe has been rescheduled. Is that correct, Mayor Bohr? The MARB meeting update, has that been rescheduled to November 21st? Yes. Okay, yep, perfect, thank you. And our second order of business is our finance update from Finance Director Michael Gormany.
All right, good evening, everyone. So I'll be giving you a few updates this evening, just based on some financial matters. The first update is just our monthly financial report, which was through the month of October for the numbers that we had within the finance department. What I will do is I did recognize there was one thing that was not on that report, so I did print out updated copies for everyone. But within this monthly financial report, we are still projecting a slight surplus for the year. Again, as I mentioned at the previous meetings, this was due primarily to a couple of revenue items coming in higher than anticipated. One of them primarily our motor vehicle tax, our pilot tax, which came in higher than what the city had budgeted for the fiscal year. So on the revenue side, we have about 49.26% of taxes collected, which the updated financial report that you're receiving, the difference between what I'm passing out and what was submitted was the tax numbers were actually missing off that original report. So we added the tax numbers for the month of October, which is on page, which was on page 3 of 18 on the updated report. So that was really the primary difference between what we originally submitted versus this updated report. Is I noticed that today that those numbers were missing. But we collected 49.75% of the overall tax budget for this fiscal year. Again, we are projecting to collect a majority of the state revenue that we budgeted. On the local revenue side, we continue to work with the building department on building permit fees and other fees within the city department as we forecast the city's general fund operating revenue for this year. On the expense side, as I mentioned before, we're projecting to spend most of the expenditures. What we're looking at is, vacancies versus overtime, as I mentioned in the prior meeting. That's what my office has been focusing in on. As of today, I talked to our internal auditor just to, make sure we're continuing to monitor overtime and other things compared to vacancy savings that we have within the city. So on the general fund operating side, on the expense side, that's really what we're primarily focusing in on. We haven't really seen any other additional expenditure overruns that we're concerned about or anything else at this time. So that's what we continue to look at. Allentown Fire Department is trending as budget for this fiscal year. As you know, within last fiscal year, they had a surplus. So that's something we continue to work with the Allentown Fire Department on. And as I mentioned at the previous meeting, we continue to work with WPCA. That's the one that we're really looking at from an operating standpoint, is that fund. As you know, in fiscal year 24, we transferred, a significant amount of money to cover operating costs there. So this fiscal year, we continue to monitor that operation as well. So that's my financial report. I'll be happy to answer any questions before I move on.
Mr. Garmany, I did have one question on the packet that we received initially for the city revenue collected. It says 44.08%, and on the one you just handed us, it says 44.51%.
That's the tax revenue that was missing from the first.
Okay, that's the one. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Does anybody on the committee have any questions for Mr. Gormany regarding the update? Mayor, do you have anything? All right.
Do you have to ask council as a whole or first?
You can go first.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Just a couple of points I want to piggyback on what our wonderful finance director has indicated. Our building fees continue to come in pretty high, but we have some major expansions going on, including Yale. Yale's bringing in a lot of permit fees. Sabatino over on Front Avenue, they did a major expansion that brought in a lot of permit fees. They're close to opening that expansion. They're the largest truffle distributor in the world that are right here in West Haven. So we're very fortunate, and they're moving some of their business from New Haven to West Haven. So that's great. And let's see, I was going to add. So I do want to share some really great news. As you may recall, a couple weeks ago, I mentioned that Standard & Poor's were coming out with a new rating weighted process. They came up with a new weighting system for their criteria for how they rate a municipality. And there was 400 municipalities across the country that were, or government agencies that were flagged to be re-rated. We were one of them, along with, I believe, Hampton and a couple of school districts. So it was a surprise to us because we had just gotten rated in February. We had gotten an upgrade, as you may recall, to BBB+++. So we did a presentation, myself, Michael, David Taylor, and Ricky Spryer, along with our bond counsel, Bill Lindsay, a few weeks ago. It was a pretty good presentation. It was about 40 pages, a few hours. It's a little nerve-wracking, right, meeting with all the folks from New York. But then we got our results back, and we have a press release going out tomorrow, but I'm happy to share it here first that we have been upgraded again. So we are now an A- community, which is pretty huge. Pretty good. Yeah, so we're really excited, and he called out a lot of things in the report that are going to be in the press release. And I just want to take the opportunity, and I did in the press release as well, to thank obviously the MARB, who has been a valuable partner to help us strengthen and get to the place we are. Thank you to the prior administration who started to lay the groundwork for us to pass the baton to us, and the employees who understood that we had to up our game and provide a different level of service, which they were willing and able to do. So the report had some really great comments about the city of West Haven. If you don't mind, I'll just take the liberty to read a few. With the new administration as of January 2024, the city has taken several steps to cure the deficiencies highlighted in the 2023 audit and improve its internal control functions. This includes hiring of several financial management positions, which it lists. It also hired a consulting firm, which it lists, and made several various changes to its procedures, instituted new policies, including bank reconciliations, audit trail reporting, and payroll segregation of duties. We understand management has also implemented formal weekly internal department head meetings, cabinet meetings, filled positions in various boards and commissions, improved employee training, and strengthened its IT protections. And it goes on to talk about a lot of the efforts that they've seen, and they said that in 10 short months, they also called out the legislative body as well, that we're working well together, and they also acknowledge our collective working relationship with the MARB, that they are our partner, and we take input from them, and we take in consideration, and we make thoughtful decisions based on that consideration. I also wanted to mention that I was really pleased to see one of the criteria is our preparedness to addressing long-term risks related to climate and environmental change, which I think speaks to a municipality's ability to prepare for a major incident and to be thoughtful in protecting our residents and our property. So that's an area where West Haven really shines. We are, above and beyond what we should do. And all those projects that we talk about, whether it was the floodgates or the Beach Street or the WPCA flood hardening wall or all those flooding grants that we're getting really shows that our pump stations that we're putting in new pump stations on our shoreline. It just speaks to that we are taking that very seriously. So very excited. Excited to share it with the MARB next Thursday as well. They did talk about our relationship with what their perception is of the MARB. So they thought having us within state oversight, I'll call it oversight for lack of another word at the moment, really to help us get where we are, but to continuing to stay in MARB may provide the perception that we are weak on our own. And it's exactly that, the assertion that we talked about a couple of weeks ago about, we're hoping that we're in a position to stand on our own 2 feet and demonstrate that we could be independent. So, yeah, so thank you to everybody for all the work, and thank you, Michael, for all the work that you do. And that's it, yeah.
Thank you, Mayor Boer. Does anybody on the committee, or I'm sorry, on the council as a whole. Does anyone have any questions? Chairman Pascal?
Thank you. I just have a statement. That is fantastic news, obviously, and you know, I just want to thank you for everything that you've done in the short while that you've been doing this, and I know how hard you work, and even when you're in pain sometimes. And I also want to thank the council, every one of you, for the work that you put in, because you know they bring us the things that's going to move West Haven forward, and you guys make the final decision on it. And we've been doing some great work, even sometimes when it feels monotonous. And I want to thank the people of West Haven for giving us this opportunity to serve them. And you know, for a long time, West Haven needed this, and you're providing it, and we're providing it. So thank you to all of you too. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Councilwoman Tucker?
And I just want to acknowledge your role as a state rep prior to becoming the mayor, and the other state reps as well. And I think you laid the foundation while you were there. You thought of West Haven while you were there, and you queued West Haven up to be in the position that it's in. And it just so happened that you turned out to be the mayor afterwards, and so fully aware of like what we have, you know, in our coffers, and you know what is available to us. So I just want to thank you for that, because you had a vision for what it could be, and I don't want that to go unrecognized.
Some of it comes full circle for me.
Yeah.
Working up there and fighting for West Haven, and then, you know, being able to cut the ribbons and, you
Yeah.
know, kind of drive it home and, you know, take it over the finish line is feels good.
Definitely gives us hope. Absolutely. I thank you for that. Does anybody else on the council have any questions? All right. Mr. Gormany, we have one more for you.
All right, thank you. So piggybacking off of that, as the mayor mentioned, one of the things that we're working on and, you know, continue to work on are internal controls and different policies and things like that. So what I want to show the council is one of the policies that I've been working on with the staff, which has to deal with our fund balance. And it's important to have a policy that deals with your fund balance because it drives certain financial decisions. You know, your fund balance is your net operating expenses over time. And what it does is it gives you a cushion in case there's any disasters or unexpected expenditures, things like that, that may occur. So one of the best practices is really to have a fund balance that kind of deals with those things that may happen. And again, it governs your financial position as well, which is one of the things that the rating agencies and other outside agencies also look at. So within the memorandum that I submitted kind of gives you the outline and why we looked at creating the fund balance policy. One of the most telling things in that memorandum is the table, and we wanted to include that table to just show you where the city's financial position from a fund balance has come in, you know, such a short period of time. In fiscal year 2019, the city's fund balance was only $1.4 million, which represented less than a percentage of the overall revenue of the city. So when we measure the fund balance, the Government Finance Officers Association has a best practice. You should have 2 months worth of operating expenses as your fund balance. That's really the goal that municipalities try to get to. So again, in 2019, we were at less than 1%. As you look in fiscal year 24, now, these are unaudited numbers. We're currently going through the audit stage. So, again, I'm not expecting this to fluctuate a lot. You know, maybe something here or there. But based on our FY 2024 numbers, we'd be at 12.12% as a fund balance when you compare what the ending fund balance would be to your actual revenues for that year. So what we did was we created a fund balance policy. And what that will do is that will also help us govern as we go through the budget process. You know, in any fiscal year. Looking at the fund balance should be part of that process as well. Now, within this fund balance policy, one of the biggest drivers is what should the minimum threshold be? What we did was we set the minimum threshold at 8%. And And we did that because, we just started building up that fund balance. So we want to continue to build up that fund balance. We didn't want to set an expectation and then not be able to meet that expectation. As we continue to strengthen the city's financial position, we can certainly look at amending that fund balance percentage. Within the policy itself, we do say we'll review it every couple of years to make sure we're meeting these guidelines. But again, what I wanted to submit to this committee is to show these are the type of policies that we're working on in finance, to make sure, again, that we continue to strengthen the city's financial position, that people see the work that we're doing, so we continue to get upgrades with the rating agencies as well. So, again, thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Gormany. Does anybody on the committee have any questions? Anybody? Oh, Councilman Vargo.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good evening.
Just looking really quick on page 5 of the actual policy. The
Okay.
section C, reduction below the threshold minimum. I understand that the mayor absolutely has to have flexibility to go into it and bring it below that minimum threshold in an emergency. How does this track with fund transfers that like we did, the last meeting of the meeting before?
So that's a great question. Anytime we use a fund balance, that acts just like a transfer. Because unless you're including the fund balance during the budget process, at the end of the year, if we're going to use the fund balance, we would have to show it like a transfer because we're taking money out of that fund balance and putting it into a different place. So the reason this really doesn't spell that out is because any transfers over $1,500 have to be approved by the city council anyway. So we didn't really want to make that redundant in this policy.
So that's by charter.
That's by charter.
So there's
Yep.
Okay, I got it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Any other questions on the committee? I'm going to open up to the entire council. Anyone on the council have any questions for Mr. Gormany? Mayor Bohr?
Thank you. I just want to acknowledge that this was actually a recommendation that came out of MARB. Tom Hamilton recommended it a few MARB meetings ago. We thought it was a great idea, and it was something I believe he did in Norwalk when he was the finance director there. So these are, fiscal guardrails. You hear state of Connecticut talk about these, these aspects and these proposals that are put in place to help build the finances. So this is a great step in the right direction. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, Mayor Bohr. Any other questions?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Gorman.
All right, thank you.
And that concludes finance at 7:28.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Moving on to public lands, Councilman Donovan as chair.
Thank you, Chairman. The time is now 7:28. The Committee on Public Lands is now in session. Members present are Councilman Locks, Councilwoman Coletti, Councilman Johnstone, and myself acting as chair. Communication B from October 15, 2024 agenda, excuse me, from Mayor Rindabor regarding the proposal of the Savin Rock Conference Center property. We are holding that in committee until I believe possibly next meeting. We're waiting for the P&Z, which they have a meeting tomorrow night on. So we will be holding that communication this week. And at that, the time is now 7:29, and your Committee on Public Lands is now closed.
Thank you very much. We will reconvene to council as a whole at 7:29, which moves us to unfinished business. I have not seen anything on the Lake Street project across my desk. Mayor, is there anything that can be added?
Nope, because they're still in the middle of this phase. What's important for us to focus on now is getting the funding for so this was a $3 million project, and we had gotten $1.3 million. I had gotten $1.3 million when I was the state rep. and that's going to cover, that doesn't cover the Colonial Boulevard, so we have to start looking for the funding for that.
Okay.
But in the meantime, Abdul's been continue to meet with the consultant, so it's just a continuation of the last update.
Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, seeing none. We will move on to committee reports. Will the clerk please read Communication A, overpayment refunds, into the record?
Communication A from the tax collector regarding overpayment refunds for November 2024, which will be filed with tonight's minutes.
Thank you. Okay, we don't have anything to report back from finance as Communication C was taken out, so we'll go right to public lands.
Thank you, Chairman. Time is 7:31. Committee on Public Lands. We're holding Communication B from October 15th, 2024. We're holding it in committee.
Thank you. Moving on to action on ordinances previously presented. That'll be the last time that we're calling that out as we took it off with the rule change. Does anybody have anything for community council liaison reports? Councilman Johnstone.
Thank you, Chairman. Just real quick, I know some council members have been asking me, and I know a lot of people, the public, have been asking me, what is the latest with our police pension update? It is still under litigation, and because it is still under litigation, unfortunately, there is nothing to report. There were some delays in the process. There was some communication going on, but as the mayor knows, myself, corporate counsel, until things get moving with the litigation process, it is what it is at this point. So that is what I have to update, unless, Mayor?
Yep, sure. I think Attorney Dorsey's here. Thank you for always being here. But I think our understanding is now November 14th, which is Thursday, is going to be a key date. We found out that the stay by the union, what is this step? The 14th, we find out if the union's motion regarding the MARB is stayed. Is that the right terminology? Okay. You could.
Attorney Dorsey, could you? I don't think you're getting picked up on the microphones.
The good news is that the litigation is proceeding now. Both sides have agreed to file cross motions for summary judgment. When I say both sides, it doesn't include the city because we're not really in a position to file the motion. It's the union that brought the cause of action against the MARB. So, but the Attorney General's office and the counsel for the union, with the aid of a court mediation session or discussion that we had with the judge, we thought all in the best interest of the litigation to get it moving, and then cross motions for summary judgment have been filed, and there should be oral argument on those soon. All the briefs have been filed, so it's moving along.
All set?
Any questions?
Perfect. Any other liaison reports?
Thank you. I am the liaison for the library. As you guys know, there has been a letter of intent submitted and negotiations are ongoing for the Allentown library site. It's looking very good. The mayor may even have more information than I, but hopefully they'll hammer all those details out soon, and we'll have a beginning of an Allentown library. So that's long coming. Thank you.
All set? Councilwoman Garthwaite?
I want to remind everybody about Saturday's bottle sort at the West Haven Animal Shelter. I also want to let the mayor talk about Adopt Don't Shop for the holidays because I didn't participate in this, but I know the mayor's going to explain it all to us. I'm going to donate 45 Home Again microchips, so I hope you guys might consider donating too. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other liaison reports? Seeing none, moving on to new business.
I wasn't quite prepared to go so fast. This meeting's moving fast. These are good. Let's see. Where shall I start? I'll do a couple of economic development updates. So Kelsey, as Councilman Donovan said, is moving along. We plan on having the lease to you at your next council meeting. Correct? Correct. Yes. And we will also have the report, the advisory report back from P&Z for the next council meeting. Correct. Okay, so that's good. That's moving along. And then I don't know if we met since we had gotten that 900,000 on the bond agenda, but the developers for the Kelsey and Steve Fontana are working to determine the best use for that funding. We have to reserve some aside because we'll have to pave Rock Street, et cetera, at the end. So we're just it's all falling into place. That's the Kelsey. Let's see. Debonair, the Debonair is going to ZBA tomorrow night, I believe, to see if there's any variances. So there's 30 condominiums that are being proposed for the Debonair site. And then it'll proceed to P&Z for their potential approval. And if that goes through, then we'll just start to do what we need to do with permitting. So I look forward to see what the results of those meetings are. Just a reminder, the Debonair is 3 years behind in taxes. It's in foreclosure. It's an eyesore. It's a health concern. And we've invested over $10 million on that street and would like to see something happen with that property. But it is up to P&Z. Let's see. Haven. So the Haven, my last report, I mentioned that I met with several developers. I met again with Jim Pendry, was one of the developers that came before the council prior to this council. Some of you were there. He's just one of the developers we met with. I know that the Simon Group has are renegotiating their price, their sale price, because they haven't had a buyer. I get a lot of questions. Did you guys reach out to Stu Leonard? Of course, we've reached out to Stu Leonard. We've reached out to everybody we can. And that great tax incentive program that you guys have been supportive of, that is going to, help in bringing business, and not just to the Haven, wherever. It's an attraction tool. And we had to do something a little drastic to get people to start to come back to West Haven. And it seems to be working. We get significant calls of interest for people coming to West Haven, businesses. Believe it or not, we don't have a lot of room, right? Sometimes people will be looking for, the International Cricket Association came to us. They're looking for 10 acres. I can't find 10 acres. Or somebody who wants to bring, a building here that has certain height for a factory. We just don't have that. It sounds like we have a lot of opportunity, but some of the calls that we're getting, we don't. So we're trying to make it fit the best that we can. Working with the owners of Bowl Drive-In, really trying to transform that piece of property. Let's see what else. The Haven. So we'll continue to work with the developers. We're down to 2, I would say. 2 viable. We call them pretenders and contenders, the people that come to see us, but I'm a little better at weeding them out now. Based on the number of units or based on what they say they want to do, we're able to say, nay or yay, let's keep talking. We actually have a really good meeting next week with a financer in New Haven that's done a significant project in New Haven. So we're going to talk to them about potentially partnering with one of the developers. Let's see, Style School. As you recall, we had 3 bidders. 2 wanted to take the building down and build a number of units there, up to 150 apartment units there. And then the 3rd bidder wanted to keep the existing building, but put a 3rd floor on that was modern. So keep a historic structure, but put a modern top floor on. So right now, in the past couple of weeks, they've been drilling in Styles to see if it will hold a third floor, because they have to see if the structural, integrity. Yes, good word. Thank you. Is there. So we're waiting to hear on that. What other development projects? Anything? Beach in front of Chicks. Well, yes. So I think I've mentioned that you need a permit to move sand around in Connecticut. We're one of the very few states that you need a permit to do so. So in order to do that, we need to have a sand management plan. In order to have a sand management plan, you have to go out to bid for people to do sand management plans. So it sounds simple, like let's put sand there, let's put rocks there. We're restricted from doing some of those things through DEEP. So we're working on it. However, I will say, so as you recall, I had gotten $800,000 for the Audubon to relocate to West Haven, and that's been going really slower than I would have liked. And I met with the Audubon Society to ask, what is really the opportunity for them to come. The local group wants to come. They need the national backing, and they need the national funding to match our funding. And they said, we have to do this, we have to do that, and we'll have a final decision as to whether we're coming in like 2027. So I said, it just doesn't sound like it's panning out as much as we would like it to. So we have reconfigured that funding that we got for the Audubon Society to be more for general terms, because remember that money for Audubon Society was to be a coastal resilient hub. It wasn't necessarily for, burning or bird watching or bird protection. It was because they wanted to be a coastal resiliency hub in West Haven. So I changed it from Audubon Coastal Resiliency Hub to Coastal Resiliency Hub, which sounds easy to do, but you got to go through a lot of, bond counsel at the state of Connecticut. Long story short, we now have that funding to do things related to coastal resiliency down there. So once we have a plan, we could do that, because now we have the money. You're welcome. Any other projects before I move on to other stuff? Okay. I just want to let you guys know, because you passed that tobacco ordinance that I requested regarding those with a license that go to renew. They have to come to the police chief. They have to file their intent to renew their tobacco license with the city clerk. And if they do that, then the police chief has the opportunity to weigh in. And what this is going to do is hold those responsible who are repeat violators. So we sent a little letter out to them saying, hey, by the way, we passed an ordinance and we're watching you. And if you serve to underage or you have continual illegal products that you sell, we get to weigh in on whether you get your license or not, because before we couldn't. It was up to the state of Connecticut. So we sent a letter out to all those businesses. I just want to let you know. Also, good news, I just want to let you also know that the Connecticut Parks and Recreation Association has given us an award for our VIP program for youth programs. So Diane Dietman, funding that we were able to get as state representatives for anti-violence youth prevention grant, she was able to use this for a youth program, VIP Westies, and we're getting an award for that, and we're going to recognize that on Friday morning. We'll send out an email if you want to come meet us in the council chambers. $600,000 for boardwalk restoration. That is the project down on the boardwalk where, the trees were cut down, and it's been a challenge because we need a lot of money to do that. We have gotten $600,000. We met, myself, Councilman Donovan, Marilyn Wilkes from the Land Trust, Mark Payne from Parks, other people I can't remember at the moment. Procurement, yep. So we have a plan. So we're going out to bid. We finally have a plan to fix up that area. So that's going to be good. So an investment on our boardwalk, because we can't fix up the Kelsey and not, fix up our area. And then just quickly, I know I go on. Just some of the fun stuff. First, I want to thank everybody who came to our veteran ceremony yesterday. And I want to thank Beth Sabo, because she coordinates all of our patriotic events. The Whiff and Poofs, I think maybe you saw me talking about that on social media. So we use some of that ARPA Arts grant to bring them here to the Military and Veterans Museum for a fundraiser for the museum, but also to bring some art, to the city. And it sold out in 3 days, which is pretty cool. They only fit about 85 people. I'm not sure if anybody registered, but it should be a good time. Our tree lighting, put it on your calendar, is November 30th. West Haven United partners, they run a lot of this with the city. It's going to be great. It always is. And yes, the Barney Hill tree, we have tested it. It looks good. Everybody thinks we lit it up real early, but we're just testing it and got a few fine tuning on that tree. But we're working on it. We already have our banners up as well. I know we're a little early, but we're avoiding a little overtime by doing that as well because we do it during the week. The symphony, New Haven Symphony, is coming to our high school. Our high school is, that auditorium is state-of-the-art, beautiful auditorium. They're coming. Those tickets are only $15 and $20. It's normally a lot of money to go see the New Haven Symphony, but we also use the ARPA Arts Grant for that because the proceeds from those tickets are going to help our music departments in our schools to allow them to buy instruments. So consider going for the holiday. It's going to be pretty cool. For some, it's Friday night, December 14th, 7 p.m. Okay, Friday night, December 13th. Okay. It's a Friday. Is that Friday? But if for some reason you don't like the symphony, you could always buy it for a Christmas present or a holiday present for somebody. 2 tickets, right? Got a family member who wants to go. And then also want to talk about, as Melly mentioned, our Adopt-A-Pet. Our shelter is full, and we really need to find homes for forever homes for the animals that are coming to our shelter. So our police department, which runs our animal shelter, is working on this with the mayor's office. It's going to be on the green. All fees are going to be waived for the adoption. You come and you pick out your forever pet, and then about 5 or 6 days later, you could pick up the pet because we want to do a background check on you because we're not giving a pet to anybody who should not have a pet. And that's it. Any questions? I think I hit it all. Oh, I think the next council meeting, I would recommend that maybe we have Ricky Fontana come and do an update of all the emergency service work we're doing. We are doing significant work with school security. We're putting in AEDs all over the city. We're doing Narcan training to every large group we could think of. We did, him and I did one this weekend. We're doing a lot of cool stuff, and a lot of cutting edge stuff too as well. So I would recommend that you have him here.
Okay. We can put him on the agenda.
Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
That's it. Any other? Councilman Donovan.
Yes. While the mayor asked for questions, getting back to the Savin Rock Conference. Hopefully they'll be at our next meeting with the lease. Are they also going to be doing a presentation that night? Do you know, like an architect rendering type of thing, or is that going to be just for tomorrow? The P&Z.
We could ask them to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be good. I think the public would like that, along with.
Yeah.
I'm sure most of the council, if not all of them.
Sure.
All right.
We will ask them.
The other thing was, I believe we talked to you yesterday about this. The incident we had on Campbell Avenue. I know we started, or you started something with an ordinance of, is it the blight officers going around to these businesses that have the windows that are blacked out?
Yeah. So that's a zoning violation. So what we did was we sent our zoning enforcement team up and down Campbell Avenue, around Main Street, etc., to identify violations. So the violations are tinted windows, neon signs. Those are, you guys passed that. Blocking the windows. You can't put advertisements in the window. There's a certain percentage that the window can't be covered. So they went out, they told folks this, and there's a process that zoning has to follow, and this is by statute. So zoning has to go out, educate, go out, give a notice, go out, intent to violate, and then go out and fine. So they have been up and down the street. I talked to them today. They're going to be going back out by the end of the week to start to give more fines out.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's unfortunately our hands are tied, kind of like with blight. You need a certain amount of days. if somebody corrects action within a certain amount of days, then you can't give them a violation. You have to start the clock ticking. But it's definitely something on our radar.
Awesome, thank you. And the last thing, I believe, if I read correctly, Chick-fil-A is opening Thursday.
Chick-fil-A is opening this week, but we don't have any information on a ribbon cutting.
No, it just had a big sign up there.
Yeah, I think it's like their soft opening, and they want to, we're going to obviously have police there for traffic control. They're actually working on the light to maybe change it from 5 seconds to 10 seconds in that area. I just want to go back to the incident on Campbell Avenue for a moment, if I can. I want to say that those new cameras that we have were instrumental in apprehending that suspect. Our police officers were able to apprehend that person in record short time, and a lot of it was attributed to those cameras. So as you recall, we put the beach cameras up. We have, and this is one of the things I want Ricky to talk about, because our camera system now goes way beyond that. We're using police funds to put in record cameras. I have, an app on my phone now. You could tap into these cameras all over the city. And the police chief and I went over to City of New Haven last week for the auto theft. There's a regional task force on auto thefts. So we went over there, and when we were over there, we went into their crime lab with their cameras. They have 208 record cameras. We're able to tap in to their cameras. They're able to tap into ours when a license plate dings, right? So we can share information. So we're really kind of coming out of the dark age. Not only are we putting in all these cameras, we're monitoring all these cameras, but the technology, being able to zero in on cars, and the police did an awesome job. But those cameras that you all help with, helps to solve those crimes. So we just got to do more of that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.
Councilman Mackey?
Good evening, Mayor. Just one quick question. Is there an update on the Sanford Street Basin project?
The only update is that it's out to bid. Yeah. We got to get an engineering, a consultant. That process was just approved by the MARB not too long ago, because first we got to go out to bid for the engineering, and then we go out to bid for the work. It's just a long, frustrating process, all of these projects.
Any other new business? Councilman Locks?
Yeah, I just want to level set on the Barney Hill Christmas tree. I was taking my trash out that night, and the guy from Channel 3 was on the side of my garage. He startled me. That's how I ended up with him. But he did say to me that there was a woman up the street who kept peeking out her shade out her side door, would not answer the door. And that's how I ended up with this guy. I have no idea who that was.
It wasn't me. It sounds like you.
Just so you know, that's how I ended up with Channel 3.
It's funny.
Well, you got a fan now. You got a fan base.
Any other new business? All right, we have one more thing that we have to. Did you? Yes. You got new business? Go ahead. I got confused.
Okay, so I have some news. So I prepared a statement just because I don't want to forget anything or anyone. So good news is I received a great opportunity at my company. As people may or may not know, we all have day jobs in addition to council. And it comes with additional time demand and travel. I decided to accept it, but that also means that unfortunately it would take too much away from my council responsibilities, including council meetings. When I was elected, I committed to give my all to serve in the position, and I think I have. So I decided at this point it's best for me to step aside and make room for someone to serve District 2 at the pace it deserves. So I can't say enough how honored I have been to have the opportunity to serve. I want to thank everyone that elected me for District 2. I want to thank the mayor, Mayor Dorinda Boer, and everyone that has supported me. There is someone who has been identified and has my full endorsement and recommendation to pass the baton to. Her qualifications are beyond, and I hope that the council agrees. In addition, my role, I've taken on the role and been entrusted with the roles of Personnel and Civil Services Chair. It's been my pleasure to serve on the Public Lands Committee, Legislative Matters Committee, Redevelopment and Tax Deferral. Those haven't come up quite yet. I've served as liaison to Planning and Zoning and liaison to Economic Development. And I really tried to give it 110%, give my all to the learning experience, and give my all to serving in those capacities. There are also many, many important projects, a few of which the mayor has just highlighted. There are a lot of challenges and opportunities more than challenges these days in District 2 that impact District 2 residents and some that impact the entire city. It's a very, there's a lot of time demand in this district. The site formerly known as the Haven, the site formerly known as the Debonair, the former bait and tackle shop, the conference center, half of the beach coastline of West Haven, the water treatment plant, the pump stations that the mayor mentioned, and several others. And I'm so grateful that these have become opportunities that are coming to fruition, in large part, extremely large part due to the administration. I'm really grateful to have had the opportunity to work with Mayor Boer and have a front row seat to her leadership. She's been a tremendous example for me. And in only the first year of her term, she's done so much of what was needed to be done to strengthen the systemic foundation and function of the city. And I don't doubt that everything that she's done will catapult West Haven into the success it deserves and its residents deserve for many years to come. I want to thank my colleagues on the council, and that includes Stacy, that have not only become friends but mentors in different ways, with their guidance and their grace on all different subject matter. I'd like to thank especially our chairman, Nick Pascal, for his leadership, our majority leader, Christopher Vargo. I have tremendous respect for all of you. I can now speak from experience that for every item on the agenda, there is so much research, consideration, and deliberation that goes into it by the council. That's something that I didn't realize before, but I think everyone should know and understand that. Although the award for the most research definitely goes to Councilman Vargo. Not only does he love the church, his family, his cat, and bacon,
A little too much.
he absolutely loves research, and he devotes a tremendous amount of time, not only alongside the rest of the council, but also to help us through any challenges we may have in researching anything with the city. I can attest that not only Councilman Vargo, but everyone on the council does their due diligence and treats the responsibility of serving the best interests of this city with the gravity that it deserves. And you never know what the future holds. I'll continue to do anything that my time allows to help in any small way. I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity. This is a good thing, but I'll miss everyone. So it's been such an incredible experience, and I hope I have done proud those that had faith in me. I'm so proud of the work of this administration and this council. May it continue to be led by service over ego and people over politics. I'm grateful to have served, and I want to thank everyone on this council and everyone in the city for the opportunity. And that's all I have.
Well, with that being said, now I have to play my part. So I did receive a letter from Councilwoman Coletti. You're killing me, Coletti. And she requests that her resignation be effective tonight upon my acceptance, and I do formally have to accept your resignation, even though I do not want to. And before anybody talks, I just want to let them know that our part that we have to play is pursuant to Chapter 2, Section 6 of the City Charter. The remaining members of the City Council are tasked with filling the vacancy for the City Council seat for the 2nd District and elect a successor to serve for the remainder of the term. Is there a motion to be made in that regard tonight, Councilwoman Akbarali?
Yes, Chairman. I, Councilwoman Akbarali, move to elect Ruby Melton to the position of Councilwoman for the 2nd District to fill the vacancy left by the resignation of Michelle Coletti.
Ruby Melton, do I have a second? Second from Councilwoman Tucker. Now we get to the discussion portion. And I just want to say, most importantly, you became a friend. And I truly appreciate that, because we had many days that we talked, and I got to know you, and I think you're a fantastic person, as well as the work you did on the council was just phenomenal. You hit the ground running. You served your constituents well. And I know this is a hard decision that you had to make, and I wish you truly the best in everything that you're doing, whether it be, your job, any aspect of your life. And I want you to come back as soon as possible, because you are one of the people that, even though you weren't born here, you became a Westie, and we need you. So when you find the time again and you find that balance, you come back to us, because West Haven needs you. Does anybody else have any discussion? Councilman Donovan.
I'm going to keep this short and professional. First of all, I love you, kiddo. You are very much, talking about professionalism, you are one of the most professional people I've worked with for this short time. The work that you do is honorable. It's honest. You do stuff that you don't pat yourself on the back. The work gets done, and as long as it gets done, you don't want to be in the limelight of it, and I've seen that. Personal note, you're a friend, and you'll always be a friend for life. As Chairman Pascal said, think about coming back when you can. I wouldn't want to be in his seat, because I probably would have said no. I don't accept, deal with it. But I'm going to miss you. I'm the council, but we will be in contact. And I hope you find happiness, and I hope you excel in everything you want to do in life. And you are generous and, like I said, professional. You take the high road. When things are thrown at you, you take the high road, which I am honored to call you my friend because of that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Any other discussion? Councilman Vargo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't know you before we ran last year, and we were running mates. And then I think the day that we became friends is when you and I were in headquarters commiserating over a bag of nectarines about having to walk in the blistering heat. And you have very quickly become one of my dearest friends. And I'm happy for you. I'm extremely mad at you. I think you are one of the most thoughtful and intelligent people that I have come across in a very long time. And you know things that I certainly don't know, and many of us on this council don't know, on project management and construction and economic development. And when I call you as my phone a friend, you better pick up the phone. I truly wish nothing but the best for you, and I hope this is not your last foray into public service, because West Haven needs you, and this is an incredible loss. So I'm proud and I'm happy. I'm upset, but more importantly, I love you, and I wish nothing but the best.
Councilwoman Tucker.
Michelle, you're the salt of the earth. I mean, I am just so impressed with just how genuine you are, and just a good person, gentle spirit. extremely knowledgeable. I'm so sad, so sad. But I'm happy for you because you're making the decision that's right for you for right now. West Haven needs you, and we're going to be here no matter what. I'm still a friend, and we'll just continue to stay friends. So I'm glad to have met you.
Councilwoman Akbarali.
Michelle, you are probably one of the most genuine people I've ever met. And you've been there for me day one, personally and professionally, especially recently when my father passed away. And I want to thank you so much for that. As Councilman Vargo said, I'm so mad, but I'm also very proud of you. You're very strong, and you're very spirited, and you have so much going for you. And as much as I'm going to miss you, I know you're not going to be far. And I truly hold our friendship dear to heart, and I love you.
Any other discussion? I guess you do.
Wanted to go last, but first of all, no surprise that your work tapped you for an advanced role. Their gain is our loss. And I think back when we first started having a discussion about what I was saying, I was thinking I wanted to run. And I asked if you were interested in running. And we talked about all the things that we were going to do. And, you know, building this entire team. And it's an entire team. It's a bipartisan team. It doesn't matter what party you're on, but we all work really well together. And maybe elected officials, but we're all, you know, friends and community members. And I think one big extended family. And you've been extremely professional, reliable, and very available, right? Whenever I've asked you to do anything or I tap into you, you are there for us. You've been a great representative of the 2nd District, and I know you care with all your heart, and I know this decision was not an easy decision for you, but it's kind of freeing to make a decision sometimes knowing it's probably the best for you personally. I'm a little jealous, actually. But we wish you all the best. But as everybody has said, you know, we've made some great friendships, and we will be your friend, and we were here for you. And I know that you're virtually just a phone call away. And just want to thank you on behalf of the residents of West Haven for all that you have done. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I just want to thank everyone for everything that you said. It's really, and taking the time. I know everyone's time here is valuable, and I appreciate and love you all. Thank you.
Okay. We do have a motion on the floor. It is to replace the 2nd District Council person with Ruby Melton. And I'd like a roll call vote, please. No.
Okay.
Roll call vote.
Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite.
First of all, I want to say that I know Ruby. She's amazing and will be awesome for this job. I last go around, I had an issue with this because I feel like when you replace a representative of the council, even though our charter allows it, and I actually did some research, there's several other cities and towns that do allow for the council to replace an elected official. I personally have a hard time doing that. So last time I abstained when Councilwoman Tucker was brought in, and I love Councilwoman Tucker. I think she's amazing. But I just personally feel like this vote is not something I want to, I don't feel comfortable taking it, so I'm going to abstain. Thank you.
Councilman Brian Locks,
Accept. Approve. Yep. Yes, that's a yes.
thank you. Councilwoman Ann Heffernan,
With reservations because Michelle's leaving, but yes to Ruby.
so. Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali,
Yes, I accept.
Councilman Gary Donovan,
Yes.
Councilman Edward McMillan,
Yes.
Councilwoman Catherine Tucker,
Yes.
Councilman Christopher Vargo,
Yes.
Councilwoman Katie Muller,
Yes.
Councilman Stephen Johnstone,
I can honestly say I never met her, so no disrespect, but I'm just going to abstain.
Chairman Nicholas Pascal.
Yes.
What's passed? Motion approved. We have two abstained, and one absent, and one not voting.
Perfect. All right. Motion,
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
motion approved. All right. So, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Goodbye, everybody.